One Piece, Chapter 951, Rampage. This is a great chapter. I really enjoyed this one. A lot of developments and a lot of epic moments. That being said, there is so much to talk about that I only really want to glance over most of it and just focus on the big parts. So let's get into it. So after the exchange of dialogue between Orochi and Fukurokuju, it cuts to the capital and we're seeing that there's like this special samurai squad, the Mimiwarigumi, which maybe we saw them before. I don't know. The chick with the mask on kind of seems familiar. But regardless, they're similar to that private ninja squad that Orochi had that we saw taken out by Zoro in the previous chapter. And these guys, I think, are just overall supplementing what is going to be a part of the final battle in Onigashima. Like, these are going to be guys that are kind of relevant for the lesser relevant characters to take on. So we see Sanji talking to Shinobu, and they've tracked down the remainder of all of the samurais with the mark of the crescent moon. So I hope that this is the final piece of the puzzle that they need to accrue the army for the final battle. This is more or less what's being set up here because they're talking about finding a way to release them. So after that, hopefully there's no more recruitment and that they have everyone else they need. I mean, I know that the Witching Hour boy is still out there, but he's probably somebody that we've already met. Possibly, maybe he is a poo, like some people theorize, possibly. But also, they make notice of the sky ship decoration things that people are making for the Fire Festival. There's a reason why they're pointing this out, and there's a reason why it is happening during the Fire Festival, which is going to be the day of the battle. So I assume that they're going to make use of these little decoration skyship things to their advantage. So then we're coming to the first really big interesting part of this chapter, and it's that Beppo and the rest of the Heart Pirates have been let free. They made it out of there somehow, and they're relaying the newfound updated info on the symbol of the resistance to Nami. Apparently Yasui had updated the symbol by drawing lines through the snakes connecting to the swans before he had died, and this obviously means something that likely only Kinemon and the other 9 Red Scabbards are going to understand. It's probably just letting them know, like, I figured out something, or you got to do this instead, or something like that. I don't think this is deception or anything like that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is legitimately Yasui letting them know something beyond the grave, you know. But then we're seeing that off panel, something has happened between Hawkins and Law, because it seems like Law is in control of everything now, which I kind of expected from the last panel of the previous chapter, because we saw that smirk on Law's face, like he wasn't really in trouble and that he was actually pulling the strings here, and it turns out to be true. So Hawkins says something super interesting. We're seeing a flashback of him letting Beppo and them go. And he's like, get out. Your lives are the terms of exchange. If you refuse now, Law will kill me, even if it costs you your lives. Meaning that Law would likely allow his crewmates to die for the sake of the plan. And I kind of see that happening. Although we want to assume that Law wouldn't let them die, it definitely seems like it is within Law's character for that to happen, because maybe he feels that they would be okay with it because of how much admiration and how much respect and loyalty they have to Law, that they would just straight up lay their lives down for him for the greater good of his plan and just his success overall. So why is this happening? Why is Hawkins allowing Law to essentially have the upper hand, allowing him to let all of his crewmates go, even letting go of the leverage that Hawkins had, because he's like totally disarming those straw voodoo doll things that have like control over them. That's gone now. So Hawkins essentially has no leverage here, meaning that he's trapped. So why is he trapped? Well, I think there's two possibilities here. So we know that Hawkins has some kind of weird clairvoyant power, and I still think it's unknown if it is real or if it's kind of just Hawkins believing like his own voodoo and believing his own hype with the tarot cards and whatnot, or this is legitimately some kind of power that he has from his fruit, or maybe it's like some kind of observation hockey that he's developed where he can literally see into the future rather than it just being like an abstract prediction, more or less. But he says, you know, who doesn't take the future into account? And future is bolded here. And this is why he's intimidated by Law. So either Hawkins saw into the future through some kind of observation hockey or some kind of ability that he has through his devil fruit along with the tarot cards, and he saw that no matter what he does, Law is going to take him out Law is going to not only take him out, but he'll also kill his comrades for, the betterment of his plan. That, or Law has done some room trickery, the Opi Opi no Mi fruit, and maybe he has, like, Hawkins' heart. Going back to what we saw in Punk Hazard, maybe that's going on. Maybe he, before Hawkins realized that he swapped out his heart or something like that. Like, he has some kind of leverage over Hawkins to where Hawkins has to do this. But this also could be redeeming Hawkins here, because I assumed that Hawkins was just going to be unredeemable and he was likely going to die in this arc, or at least just be captured or just taken out of the picture, like one supernova down, you know what I mean? But this might lead to Hawkins joining Law and the Straw Hats to take down Kaido, and then they part ways after that, because we already see that Kid is kind of on board with them. Although he has literally said that he doesn't want to form an alliance with them, Luffy and whatnot, because of the fallout that happened with Hawkins and Apu. But the way that Kid said it, it was like, while I don't like you, I'm not necessarily your enemy. I'm not going to go after you. I kind of just want to take down Kaido and whoever else. So maybe maybe Hawkins is going to have some kind of similar relationship with Law and the Straw Hats here, where he's not necessarily against them. It could be something like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, meaning that Kaido, the enemy, being the Straw Hats and Law Alliance and stuff like that. So he's kind of just temporarily working together inadvertently to take down a much bigger threat than them, which is Kaido, of course. So then Law says, listen to me, you absolutely must not tell Straw Hat about me getting out. So I don't think this is deception. I don't think Law is turning face. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, it'd be pretty devastating and it would be very interesting, but I don't think that's the intention that Oda has for Law here. I think the pretty obvious reason why he doesn't want Luffy to know that he has been captured is because he knows that Luffy's going to go balls to the wall, gung-ho, and like, we got to get Law back. They captured him, and it's going to ruin everything. It's going to draw more attention to him. They're going to put themselves at risk for no reason, because he knows that's what Luffy is like. He's been with Luffy for 400, 300 chapters now. He knows what Luffy's all about, and he knows that it's better for him to be kept in the dark about this so that he doesn't, go crazy trying to help Law. He has some specific plan that he's trying to work out right now, and he needs discretion. And that's something that Luffy doesn't really have, nor is able to give for the most part. So after that, it cuts to Kanjuro taking Asui's body, and then we see Nami reuniting with Frankie, and they're going on their way to go meet up with Kinemon and Ashura and all of them. And this is pretty cool. I like that this is connecting because, first of all, Nami is going to relay the updated message, drawn on the resistance symbol from Yasui. She's going to give that to Ashura and Kinemon. They're going to be able to make sense of it. But now that Frankie is with them, we have the device for Frankie to work on these ships, because we saw that Ashura Doji, Shutenmaru, he had been pulling together and cultivating all of these old wrecked ships from before that, Kaido took down. And then he's going to bring these all together to be vessels for the resistance army to go to Onigashima for the final battle. And then Frankie's going to work on these, soup them up. So that's all connecting, and that's awesome. I'm glad that we're just going to take care of this. I just really hope that Oda is just wrapping up these storylines rather than trying to create more. So then we come to the final part of this chapter, which in my opinion is by far the most interesting part of this chapter. This is one of my favorite elements of One Piece in general. When all of these ultra powerful characters come together and just simply interact, it's always such an entertainingly good time. So we're seeing what has happened. We're picking up from Queen taking Big Mom from Udon to Onigashima. She's still wrapped up in the chains, but she's being fed here. So then Big Mom drops some super interesting dialogue and exposition here when she says that, I'll forgive your behavior from yesterday, King, if you join my crew. There are still 3 races missing from my country, and one of those was supposedly extinguished from history itself. So we know that one of Big Mom's biggest goals, which we learned back in Whole Cake, was that she wanted to accrue all of the races from the world to be a part of her country, more so a part of her family and whatnot. And this is because she's not letting go of that fake ideology and motivation that Mother Caramel had, as a child, because she still the big part of her life is impacted by all of the lies and BS that Mother Caramel told her as a kid. Of course, she still doesn't know that Mother Caramel was a fraud. She likely will never know, but still, this is why she wants it. But the whole thing about King's race being special, and the whole thing about how it's supposedly extinguished from history itself, I assume this means that his race was a part of the Void Century, 800 years ago or whatever, because that's usually what this boils down to whenever you hear, like, extinguished from history, because that's what the Void Century is all about. Or it's a possibility that it was after that, and maybe there's a different kind of threat that they pose to the world government, because we can also assume that those are the ones that want to extinguish them from history, because those are the ones that are only really doing that. They want to keep their world intact. They don't want information to be spread. So maybe his race was a part of that, knows something about it, but regardless, he's still alive. He's one of the last ones remaining. Maybe he is the last one remaining. But what is he exactly? Well, before I go into what I think he is, let me just say that I don't think he is the same race as Magellan. So yes, there is a lot of evidence that points to King coming from Impelled Down. It's very possible that he was the Warden before Magellan was. We don't have an age on King. We don't really know much about King, but the jacket that he wears is more or less the same jacket that Shiryu has. It's like the same skull, the same kind of leather, the same aesthetic. It's very similar to Magellan's as well. So it's either he was like with Shiryu, like his partner, or he was the warden. Regardless, he was a part of it, and he was, he's super powerful. Obviously, he's Kaido's right-hand man, more or less. So it points to him being the warden. But I don't think that he's the same race as Magellan, because Magellan just doesn't share the same kind of aesthetics that King has. So yes, they both have wings, but King's wings are different. Magellan has like bat wings, like demon-esque wings, as where King has like angel wings, but they're black. And he also has like that fire coming out of his neck/head. And we know that this isn't a part of his fruit, because we know that he has the pterodon fruit. So I'm assuming that this is just an inherent characteristic of him. Like he always has the flame coming out of him because it's just like a part of him, kind of like a Pokemon. So that all being said, I think King's race is like the counterpart to what Arouge's race is. And like all of the Burka natives, like they all have white angel wings. And we know that there's like a strong heaven and hell dynamic with storytelling, especially with Oda. So we can assume that the Burka natives, Arouge, the Sky Island people, they are what represents heaven. They are like the angels. And then the counterpart to them would be hell and the demons, or the fallen angels. And that's whatever race King is. That's what they would represent, because he has angel wings like Arouge and the Burka natives, but they're black. They're not white. And he has fire coming out of his neck, kind of like hell, So I just assume that's what he is. It makes sense to me, at least. So then Kaido comes in like the boss that he is, and he's like, take your cuffs off. And it's like, oh, are you sure? What are really? Take the cuffs off. And then like one of the little henchmen gives us some nice little exposition, which feels like Oda is like directly talking to us. Like literally, he's like, hey, did you guys know that Big Mom and Kaido used to be the same pirate crew? And of course, we found this out last year in the Reverie arc. When Garp is talking to all of those vice admirals and captains and whatnot, we're finding out that they were a part of the Lock/Rocks crew, whatever translation you want to go after. This is like them when they were coming up together. So I assume that Oda is just reminding us of that for a specific reason. I assume that we're going to get a flashback here of what they were like in their youth, when they were coming up on Rox's crew. And there's going to be some kind of revelation, possibly. I assume that it's going to lead to the reveal of them being in like a relationship or something, and maybe they gave birth to a child or something like that. I think it's very likely. I mean, he is calling her Lin Lin, so it's possible that it's just because he sees her as an equal, and he's not going to be like, hey, Big Mom, you're just Lin Lin to me, but also because they came up together, but maybe because they had some kind of fling or something. And then she pulls out Napoleon, and I like that Oda is just clearing this up real quick, just putting it out there. He's like, oh, I wasn't speaking because I'm shy around new people. Going back to the whole Big Mom amnesia little portion of chapters that we had when she was with Chopper and them. This is why he didn't speak up, because he was just shy. So that just clears it up. It's fine. I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal to me. So then Big Mom says, as if there's a fool that would come just to be killed. This might be Big Mom paying homage to what Brooks said to her back in the Whole Cake Island arc. Maybe, maybe not. So then her and Kaido clash, and this is awesome. It's always cool to just see characters like this go at it, but just to see two Yonkos go at it like this, I think the last time we saw two Yonkos collide like this, aside from Marineford, well, I mean, technically Blackbeard wasn't a Yonko at that time, but I think it was Shanks and Whitebeard. And oddly enough, this is very similar to that. Because when Shanks came on board of Whitebeard's ship, he was like, hey, Marco, you should join me. Similar to what Big Mom is saying here with King. And then the clash that they have, it looks extremely similar to the clash between Whitebeard and Shanks. There's even like lightning that strikes down. Or I don't know if there was lightning exactly from the Shanks and Whitebeard encounter, but the sky was definitely splitting. And that seems to be what's happening here in this panel. So that's just what happens when two Yonkos collide. Like, they're so powerful that just the weather is affected. Like, everything is just affected by it. The seas part and everything. It's so cool. I even love that, like, Queen is a part of the reaction gallery here. Like, he's even blown away by the clash of these two ultra-powerful characters. So that's where the chapter ends. Awesome. One of the best moments of this arc, definitely. I mean, come on, it's Big Mom and Kaido clashing. Is it going to expand upon this in the next chapter? Probably not. I hope that it does. That would be incredible. But, you know, it's odds are that the rest of this is just going to be off-screened, and we're not going to know what's going to happen for, like, another couple chapters. But, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. And, unfortunately, there's not going to be a chapter next week. I don't think there's going to be any Jump chapters next week. I think just Jump in general is taking the week off. But it's fine. It's part of the course. We're just getting 3 chapters on, 1 chapter's off. That seems like it's what it's going to be like from now on. But great chapter. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you liked the review, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you next one.